Next month, Wheaton College will hold an inaugural Mission and Ministry Conference to focus on how the church can reach young adults. A 2015 Pew Research survey showed more than 1/3 of young adults ages 18 to 24 do not identify with any religion, compared to 1 in 4 back in 2007. And last month, Lifeway Research reported 2/3 of young adults who attended a Protestant church regularly as a teenager dropped out for at least a year between the ages of 18 and 22. The Wheaton Conference will look at why this younger generation is leaving the church and how believers can help to draw them back into a relationship with God and the body of Christ. Our Heather Sells spoke with Dr. Ed Stetzer, the Billy Graham Chair of Church Mission at Evangelism at Wheaton, about what is happening.
Dr. Stetzer, you are hosting a conference that will look at why emerging adults are leaving the church. We know from research that a significant number are, compared to even 10 years ago. How concerned should we be about this trend?
I think it's a cause for considerable concern. I think we are noticing and seeing in research that younger generations are often moving away from religious commitment, becoming more secular. We see multiple studies that point to that the younger you are, the more likely you are to be secular. And of course, we do know that people do become more engaged in church as they age. But the reality is the trends are showing us that the younger generation, in many cases, is rejecting the practice of faith.
We know to some degree the younger generation always has done this, but can you unpack this a little more? What do we know about who is leaving and how long they leave for? Do they eventually return?
Yeah, some eventually return, but a lot don't. And so we do find a significant number of young adults who were actually active and practicing. Maybe their parents brought them to church, and then they themselves, when they become adults, move away from that. But in answer to your question, yes, some do return. A significant number do return. They sometimes get a little older. We do see from some research at around 17 or 18, we find the largest drop-off. And that yet sometimes by the time we're 22, 23, maybe a little older when they get married and have kids, they come back. But there's enough that don't come back that I think we need to ask the question, what's going on? What can we do better? And also, not just how do we keep people in church, but an evangelistic question we'll look at is how do we engage emerging adults with the cause of Christ?
Mm-hmm. Scholars at your conference are going to talk about why they think these emerging adults are leaving. What are some of the main theories out there right now as to this drift?
Yeah, well, the most common answer that we found when I was at Lifeway Research was they left because they just kind of drifted. Your word is correct. They just kind of drifted away. There wasn't a sudden shift or change in beliefs. There wasn't an anti-faith feel. There are some who think that Christianity is too political. They use terms like small-minded, bigoted, anti-gay, and more. And so that does cause some people, maybe when their views have changed from their childhood, to drop out of church. So it's a mix. There's not like a typical young adult. There's several different reasons. And I think ultimately, as Christians, we need to kind of understand what's going on and then ask the question, how do we respond in a biblically faithful and fruitful way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of conversation at your conference about how to draw these emerging adults back into church life. Are there any promising models out there or ideas that have really caught your attention?
Yeah, there are. I think we see that there's a great vibrancy. You know, it's interesting. According to the General Social Survey, in the last year that we have data, which is 2016, we're actually at the highest level of young adult church attendance, 18 to 29-year-olds in evangelical churches. So what we are finding is a significant number of evangelical churches have found ways to engage young adults. Now, what's happening is a lot of people who are maybe nominally connected or less connected have found themselves dropping out. We want to ask the question, what are the examples? So it's not just, well, here's the bad news, but also what's the good news? How are churches showing and sharing the love of Jesus? And I think that's through, they're engaging in authentic ministry. They're teaching the Bible faithfully. They're actually serving and caring in their community. And young adults, many are seeing that and saying, I want to be a part of a faith that changes me and ultimately changes the world.
All right. Well, I know there's a lot of interest in this. Dr. Ed Stetzer, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
After the break, we're going to bring you the top trending stories from faithwire.com. Stay with us.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Discover the I wills of God. I will rescue him, protect him, answer him, be with him in trouble, deliver him, honor him, satisfy him with long life, show him my salvation.
What I felt was loved and treasured.
God spared my life twice in 3 days.
The good Lord had given me a second chance.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com. The I wills of God, the latest teaching from Pat Robertson.
And welcome back. I want to turn now to Jessica Chaco and Dan Andros for a look at the top trending stories from faithwire.com, including a prayer request from Justin Bieber and a new video game that encourages violence and rape.
Well, just months after his marriage to Hailey Baldwin, megastar Justin Bieber takes to Instagram, asking fans to pray for him in a candid post. Here to tell us more about it, Dan Andros, managing editor of faithwire.com. Dan?
Yeah, Justin wasn't overly specific in the request, but he did say that he'd been struggling a lot lately and said he was feeling disconnected and weird, and that this was the most human season he's had of facing his, quote, stuff head on. So apparently he didn't want to go into exactly specifically what he's thinking, but as a guy who's been pretty outspoken about his faith and has such a huge platform, hopefully he is feeling lots of love and support from prayers from, really millions of people who follow him and look up to him. And now that he's been more open about his faith, it's really obviously don't want to see him struggling, but I think it's a good step for him that he's willing to open that up to the public and to ask for prayer and support during whatever it is that he's going through.
Well, we will continue to cover him in prayer. Well, these violent new video game titles may have you rethinking your children's screen time. Dan, we're hearing one of the more controversial games is actually called Rape Day. Dan, I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, it's amazing that this thing is actually real, but it is, and it's a game called Rape Day, and there's a description on it that says the game involves violence, sexual assault, non-consensual sex, obscene language, necrophilia, and incest among the objects of this game. They call it they try to get around it by saying it's a, quote, dark comedy, end quote, game, which I'm not sure how you can find anything funny in those subjects at all. But the place called Steam Store is sort of notorious for allowing pretty much anything to be sold on their online store for video games. And even they had to actually back down once they received some pushback from it. And they said they did a, quote, significant fact-finding and discussion amongst their team, which, I mean, really, it shouldn't take this much fact-finding and discussion to discover that a game called Rape Day, where you're going around and you advance as a player when you commit sexual assault on female characters. So this should have been an obvious no-brainer for them, but thankfully, at least it's down. But we spoke at FaithWire with some experts and looked for some commentaries online and kind of gathered some information. And what we saw were people saying that, these video games are horrible, but that shouldn't dissuade you necessarily from just immediately jumping to never playing video games or not allowing your kids to play video games. There are plenty of appropriate children's games out there that are good for learning and entertainment and all of those sorts of good aspects of the side of video games. So It's like everything else in life. You know, when parenting, you've got to actually monitor your kids and be involved and stay vigilant in what they're getting into, and not necessarily jump to an immediate just ban it because there's one bad thing out there.
Thanks, Dan. You can find these stories and how to keep your children safe online by visiting FaithWire on Facebook and on the web at faithwire.com. Back to you.
Still ahead, an annual show of friendship between the United States and Ireland in honor of St. Patrick's Day. See what the president had to say about the Irish people. Stay with us.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
President Donald Trump received a Shamrock Bowl as part of day-long festivities with Ireland's Prime Minister in celebration of an early St. Patrick's Day. The Shamrock Bowl tradition actually dates back to President Harry Truman. The Prime Minister started the day as the breakfast guest of Vice President Mike Pence before meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office. President Trump spoke at the annual Capitol Hill luncheon, saying the U.S. has never had a better relationship with Ireland than they do now, and he thanked the Prime Minister for the gift.
Tonight we accept this gift as a symbol of the enduring friendship with Ireland and its amazing people that we love. The Irish are confident, fierce, faithful, tough, and true. They never give up. They never give in.
St. Patrick's Day is celebrated across the world on Sunday, March 17th. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember that you can find more information on the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com, and you can watch CBN News programs anytime on the CBN News channel. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Bye-bye, everybody.